Hey, what's up guys? Gons here for the Face Like the Sun channel. I'm sure you guys have heard by now, Anonymous suggests that NASA is about to announce alien life forms or alien life out there or out in space. This thing has gone viral. You have Newsweek, The Independent, Metro, Science Alert. Everybody seems to be reporting this. And it comes just a week after the Transformers The Last Night film hit theaters. And I think there's a correlation here because there are actual academic papers being published to support the idea that there is a government Hollywood connection. For example, just recently, back in March, the American Journal of Economics and Sociology published a paper, The Historical Roots of CIA Hollywood Propaganda. And in the abstract, it says this article recounts the history of the process by which Americans came to accept the ideas continuously promoted by the government, often without knowing that their favorite movies and television shows had been vetted or even altered by agents of the CIA or the Pentagon. Since these practices violate federal laws, the public at least has a right to know that we are being subjected to this sort of propaganda and how much tax money is spent to produce entertaining forms of disinformation. So you take something like this anonymous tip that NASA is about to announce evidence of alien life, and could this be some kind of microbial life? Possibly. Or maybe it's some sort of ruins that suggest some kind of ancient life out in the stars, out in space. It all ties back to the theory of evolution, and specifically the ancient astronaut thesis. Now, in the recent Transformers The Last Night film, there are a couple moments and a couple themes that seem to be drawn from biblical ideas, but also just straightforward in your face telling you what's going on with reality, but putting it in films so that people just think, oh, it's all just fiction. For example, the Transformers show up on Earth as comets or asteroids, stars falling from heaven in a sense. So whether they're showing us what they plan to have happen or they hope to happen or whatever, it seems like they have always had this understanding of some sort of non-human intelligence being a part of this entire narrative of our reality. And that goes to God as a non-human intelligence, but also potentially a race of beings that are not human, but intelligent, perhaps even being similar to the human form. There's also the connection to Nibiru and Optimus Prime, or in this film, Nemesis Prime, which is very interesting since, of course, Nemesis being the alleged 10th planet, Nibiru, what some believe is a dwarf star and its own sort of solar system that's coming. In the film, it's more of a artificial planet, it seems like, but they're definitely playing on this idea of the return of Nemesis or Nibiru. And it's Optimus Prime who's supposed to be good, but of course his eyes glow purple and he's under the grip of an entity that presents herself as the creator of the planet and Optimus Prime. But in any case, check out this line here from the film.
The military doesn't want it this way, B. You gotta believe that. It's a new world order now, and these guys are calling the shots.
It's a new world order now, and these guys are calling the shots. A very interesting line. Pretty obvious, in my opinion. I'm not going to do a full breakdown. I'm sure you guys who watched the film recognized several moments and several themes and topics and things that suggest some kind of biblical angle to it or some kind of prophetic angle to it. I will mention that there were 6 horns that emerged from the earth as part of its protection or whatever against Nemesis Prime. And these 6 horns were based on 6 positions centered around Stonehenge, where the Earth's landmass was collected together in some kind of Pangea form. They went through this very quickly. I don't know if there's any truth to it, although I have heard David Flynn suggest that the geographical center of the Earth is actually Jerusalem, which isn't too far away from Stonehenge, especially if all the water mass was eliminated. But in any case, it creates 6 points in a circle, which creates a hexagon, but also can create a 6-pointed star, a hexagram. which we know is the interlacing of the two triangles as above, so below, and represents an intersection of the base form of three-dimensional reality.
There is Cybertron and there is Earth.
Every yin, there's a yang. Every yang, there's a yin. One will suck the other dry. A giant
Succubus until only one remains.
Earth is Unicron. One day his horns will rise to fight the mad goddess Quintessa.
That's right. The Earth is called Unicron, and 6 horns rise out of the Earth. And of course, the Bible talks about the 10 horns in Revelation 12 of the red dragon, which has 7 heads and 7 crowns. You have the 4 horns in Zechariah 1 that scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. So this idea of horns, in a literal sense, pretty much in the movie, as part of some kind of planetary system to fight against this emerging threat. And of course, there's always an artifact. In this case, it's a staff. And it goes back to the May with the Sumerian literature, which is this thing that allows the gods to have power over creation. And it sounds like the same thing going on at the Tower of Babel. And it's this relic, some kind of relic that I believe intelligence agencies, the deep state, whatever, the highest levels, has something like this hidden away or is looking for something like this. Perhaps the Ark of the Covenant. So a relic involved is a possible angle to the whole extraterrestrial announcement, the ET alien announcement with evolution and all this stuff that's being pumped out there. There's also the relic that ties in with Merlin, and I won't get into that side of the plot, but basically Cade Yeager is given this relic, which is basically a seal, and it's described as one of the 7 seals from the book of Revelation, which is very interesting. And if you read Revelation 6 verse 2, it says, "And I looked, and behold, a white horse, and its rider had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he came out conquering and to conquer." Most biblical scholars and commentators have suggested that this is the man of sin, where in Revelation 13 it talks about who can make war with him. And Daniel 11 talks about his conquest, defeating the enemies that surround Israel, which will basically be a counterfeit messianic fulfillment. So perhaps the folks who wrote this in or wrote the script or added these parts in knew about that angle, that the first seal represents the Antichrist man of sin. And now you have Cade Yeager basically as a guy, a human being who is given this power by the gods, the alien gods, right? Very interesting. The film also shows this idea of an ancient spaceship basically buried deep in the ocean. And this reminds me of the Antarctica stuff that's going on out in reality. Could there be some kind of relic that was discovered, or a ship or something that's massive that is buried beneath the ice, or perhaps somewhere in the Atlantic? Maybe this is part of the Atlantis mythology. Whatever it may be, it seems to suggest that they're hinting at this type of thing right here on Earth, which is why, again, I keep going back to this anonymous talking about NASA and its discovery of alien life. I think it's prepping the minds of the masses to start thinking about how to deal with this type of discovery, these sorts of ancient discoveries. And if we have in the public some kind of extraterrestrial explanation that underpins evolution and therefore science, then I think they're hoping the masses accept the narrative and buy into what they're selling, which ultimately will be the mark. It's very interesting whether it's the actual Planet X or Nemesis coming, or if it's just representative of the return of Jesus Christ, because all the celestial signs are supposed to happen. The sun will not give its light, the moon will be like blood, and the stars fall. Here you have this alien race of transformers, which basically synthetic biology, they're made out of black goo, basically. And if you don't know what I'm talking about there, go look for the black goo videos that I've done. But part of synthetic biology, these sentient beings that come out from it, these transformers, some of them are good, right? Some of them are good because they help humanity, and the rest of them are bad because they want to destroy humanity. And this idea that Optimus Prime is one of them, but he chooses to become the protector of us humans. There's definitely a messianic tone to it, or flavor to it, that can't be missed, especially if you're familiar with biblical eschatology and what the return of Jesus Christ is really all about. So for me, when I watch the film, I can tell that the folks who wrote this, at least the lines or whatever, at some level, are very educated on these topics. And the last thing I'll mention here is that they used a quote that I quoted in Age of Deceit 2. It's not a unique quote, it's the famous one by Arthur C. Clarke. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And actually in the film, it goes through the whole history and so many of the great men and women who made breakthroughs in science and physics and all this stuff. The suggestion is that this alien intelligence, the Transformers, this black goo race, are the ones responsible for all of human advancement. And it's a quite remarkable thing if you think about what they're saying. And in that regard, the biblical message is actually the same. That yes, we've been messed with by extra-human or non-human entities, intelligences. But we're saying that the phenomenon originates in the spiritual world because we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So there's definitely a lot more that could be broken down, all the details and symbolism and stuff with any film like this. But I think it's pretty obvious what they're saying. They're trying to promote this whole alien idea. I think that's going to continue to happen. We'll have to see how much Anonymous really knows. According to many of the articles in the video itself, they don't really present hard evidence of anything, only that things are ramping up. There was a hearing for the advances in the search for life. You can watch it and see what they talk about, preparing all these different disciplines to have a consensus, which is very interesting. Again, the Vatican and the Pope did this in recent years, trying to get everybody on board with this whole extraterrestrial narrative. And now there is a call out for Western science to do the same. So I believe they are really ramping up. The Great Deception is underway. Hold on to the truth because it's starting to get very, very interesting out there. Have an awesome day, guys. God bless.